Betsy Brandt reprised her role as Marie Schrader on Better Call Saul, the series final of Better Call
Yeah.
Saul. We finally saw Marie back. I'm Matt Noble of Gold Derby, and I wanted to start off by asking you, Betsy, Marie entered the world of Better Call Saul looking for some closure. Did you, Betsy, get some closure by
Oh
coming?
my God. Oh God, of course. Like as a fan of the show, absolutely. To get to be on the last episode of the entire franchise, and I think they really are done now. I think they're done. Um, and then also, it's so funny. I was just talking about it. Someone asked me about it this morning at a kid's birthday party, and I said it's like I never could have imagined getting that kind of closure for her, for that character. And the way that the they the writers wrote for her, I mean, she we saw her starting to grow up at the end of Breaking Bad, and I would get asked this, I still get asked this a lot. What do you think Marie did after? Like, where does she go? And I think Marie is stronger than she thinks she is, and probably a better person than she has shown us a lot of times. And I think we saw that at the end of Breaking Bad. But it's like once she loses Hank, a lot of her, her superficial bullshit. It she it took that for her to realize it really doesn't matter. And so when we catch up with her in Better Call Saul, I feel like we see that, we're able to see that, and it's um God, it was ridiculously fulfilling for me as an actor, as someone who loves that character, and um as a fan of the show. It was and then also, and this is just personal, to get to go back and work with these people that I love and adore and are wildly talented. It was like, oh my God, I was so weepy the first when I first walked on set. And um to be with Bob and Ray, who are friends, like it was and I know a lot of the crew, it's a lot of the same crew. It was like emotional but great, and in emotional in such a great way. I felt really, really fortunate.
Hmm. What do you think Marie did bring to that final episode of the series?
The first word that came to mind when you asked me that was uh, love and dignity. I
Hmm.
was so proud of her that, you know, she held it together. She didn't make it about her. She didn't lose her shit. That, oh God, that episode, where she has that great speech, not in the courtroom, but has a great speech to Jimmy Saul. Um, God, that was fun. I remember it was snowing that day. Like it was just, I mean, it was beautiful. Like you're these windows, and we were on location and you could see the snow coming down. And it was like some days in this business, you are magical. And that was one of them. And it was, man, I told Peter Gould, I could have done that all day. I could have, in any way they wanted me to do it. I could have. There was just, I mean, it's such good writing. There's just always something to find.
And what was something important for you to find in that scene when you're confronting Jimmy, really, with?
Um, she wants justice for her husband who gave everything, like, and for Gomez too. I think that Marie and Blanca are an amazing support system for each other and really good friends, and going through a tragedy like this together, they understand each other in a way that nobody else can. And Marie is outspoken for better or for worse, and we get to see her use that for good in this moment. I was like, I know this sounds so cheesy, I don't know what else to say, but I was so proud of her. I was so proud of her. And I think she just really, really wants to do right by Hank. She can't save him, but she can do this.
Yeah. And she really almost frames the stakes and the cost maybe of Saul's actions.
200%, 200%. I mean, it's funny, like watching Bob do that scene. There was a few moments in the courtroom. I'm like, oh my God, I got chills. I got chills. And I read the script. I know what's going to happen. But like when we were doing, like, God, he was so good. And the entire setup of it, but I just want to throttle him when he's like, all I need is one. And he's not wrong. And it's because he's right. Like all he needed was one. And then, I mean, you know how the show ends, but it was just God, like a really, really amazing moment to get to play.
Yeah. Yeah, the show's out this wonderful fine line where Saul in the final episodes gets to be good enough to get out of the problem and
Yeah.
argue, like, we see that great, moment for him. But we also then see him actually choose to face some level of accountability.
Oh my
Partly
God.
for yeah, which is amazing. Like that we
Which
get
was surprising and
mm,
great.
yeah.
I mean, it's like it's the opposite of Walt. It's the opposite of Walter White, who just like he just got worse and worse and worse and worse. He started out a decent guy or a seemingly decent guy.
Yeah.
And then, it really is, like people, in a lot of situations you talk about you got to hit rock bottom. It's like Saul had that aha moment where he did, and he's, decided he didn't want to be that person. He's not, I doubt he's a saint. No,
No.
but he he did that in a way that, and God damn it, that is hard to pull off for the writers and for Bob. But they did it. They did it. And not only did they like, oh, they pulled it off. Like it was so good. As a fan of the show, and I remember this with Breaking Bad, I was so sad about the show ending because it was, such a huge part of my life, personally and professionally. But I read that last episode, and I texted Vince Gilligan and I said, it's the perfect ending for our show. And that's a tall order when it's a show as good as Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. That's a tall order. And they only they did it twice.
Yeah.
They did it.
Yeah.
They did it in Breaking Bad, and then they did it with this, and it was, like they're so different, the endings, and they're so good. It's just good television.
Yeah. What, like, and I do think that scene of Bob in the courtroom is one of the great acting performances we've seen on TV, where he has his
Yeah.
sort of confession, and I think it's amazing.
Oh,
Ma-
I literally got chills. I got chills, and I saw him do it multiple times. And then we came back and did it, and he was like, "There's something I want to change," because there is like the writing gives you that again, there's like you can do it every which way, and there's always going to be something to find. And it just like they knew exactly what they needed once everything started coming together.
Yeah. What was the thing you wanted to change? Do you remember?
Funny, it wasn't a huge shift. And it wasn't any words or anything like that. There was just something in the tone. I think once we had the episode had gone on and you saw how things were going to play out, the writer director Peter Gould and Bob, they were like, you know what I think we should do here? And sometimes that happens. It's funny. Cranston and I used to talk about it, and I still do this. I'm like, oh my God, like when I'm driving home in the car, I'm like, oh, I should have done this or that or this or whatever that is that you're like, oh, and then you see it and it's all great. Like,
Yeah.
But I'm never satisfied. I'm always really grateful and really thankful and proud of my work, but never satisfied. I'm like, oh my God, you know what I could have done? I like there's always something else to find, something else to do.
When Saul slash Jimmy is doing that courtroom sort of confession scene, Marie is sitting there. What do you think's
Yeah.
going on in her head as she hears this sort of like
Do
confession
you
and
mean in
boasting?
the courtroom, or
Yeah,
how he's like,
in the
oh, before
courtroom.
in the
No,
courtroom?
in the
Oh, I
courtroom,
think
because we
that
don't get to
is
hear from her at all, but she is there
no.
taking
Yeah.
in everything that's going down.
I think it is, she is so angry. I think it is infuriating. I think it
Mm.
is, it was so, oh, God, like it was painful. There was some takes, even when the camera wasn't on me, like I'm just, it's hard to hear. Like I'm just, crying, but she's trying to be so stoic because she like she really doesn't want it's so not about her.
Mm.
And I'm so proud of her for, like, the character who would make everything about her, about herself. It's not, she really just wants what's right, wants justice for her husband because she knows that's what he would have wanted.
Mm. Yeah. we we see quite a few characters from Breaking Bad return to Better Call Saul throughout the course of the series, including Hank in an earlier season, but was saying
Yeah,
Wild and Jesse.
yeah,
You're one of the few that got to return into the black and white world.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh
like
my
you're
God. I always loved that convention right away. Like when we first, like in the first episode of the show, you see, like, I loved, I'm like, oh my God, and then when you see Odenkirk, mixed in the Cinnabon, in black and white, it just like it pulls you in. So it was really fascinating for me to get to be in that world, which I you know didn't expect to, and so that was amazing. um but then also to get to see my character later
Mm.
was, in her time, was so, I like, such a gift to me as an actor to get to do that. It's one of the few times I really felt satiated in, like, they, because I've sat with it. I've gone through, like, who is she now? I think about Marie a lot. So it was incredibly fun for me to get to do that.
Yeah, I loved the beginning of each season had that black and white scene, and I was like the whole series thinking they
Yeah.
better have an episode at the end of the series which is all black and white,
I
and
was
if they get
hoping.
yeah,
Yeah,
because I was
I
going,
was
I hope
hoping too.
yeah, and I was going, I hope they don't like do that thing where like, oh, we don't want to do a whole episode in black and white, so we'll sort of just fade into color. I thought, nah, I hope they keep consistent with it. So happy that they did. And I think, yeah, as you said, Marie, we get to see a bit after her story in
Yeah.
Breaking Bad, where all the other characters, other than Saul, we see the
E- e-
beginning earlier
Beginning,
or
yeah. Which
during even. We see a few, yeah. Oh
is
yeah,
fascinating in a different way, right? Because
yeah.
as an actor, like, you always, like, I think about this a lot. I finished a movie right before the strike, and those characters, I'm like, where do they go next?
Mm.
And I keep that in my mind when I'm working on something, because that informs where you are. But it's, you also fill in all those blanks, even if you don't see it on screen, how they got there, how they
Yeah.
became where they are when we meet them. And um, it was really, really fun to get to see that in Better Call Saul with some of these characters that we love. And we all made assumptions about all of them from what we saw, and then just what we, how we round out that story in our own mind. So that was incredibly fun to as a viewer get to watch. And then as someone who was on the show, it was so fun for me to get to see, you know, other parts of the story that we didn't get to see in our show. Was really, really fun.
Now, it was black and white, all the scenes you were in for Better Call Saul. Were you wearing
Yeah.
purple?
No,
No,
no.
no
In
purple.
fact, I do not have a deal with them. This is not a plug. I bought I was in Chicago, and I left a pair of Adidas Gazelle shoes, and I had wanted some. It's like I thought there were more maroon. It's the color is the collegiate,
Mhm.
and I when I went to the store today to buy them, I was like, oh, they're like really more raspberry. And my husband was with me. I'm like, is that too purple? Am I going to regret that? Because it's because I really don't do that in my life. Breaking Bad just cured me of any longing for purple if I ever had any, which I didn't. But um, I no, I love that when we see Marie at the end of Breaking Bad, she's like wearing beige, because like I think she just, she lost Hank, and I think she really like if it, I would have been disappointed in her if she didn't get what's important after that. And I think she absolutely did. And she let that shit go. I think she's also the last time we see her in Breaking Bad. Um, sorry, I know it's like, it's not real, but it feels real to me. I think at that point when we see her, she is working really hard to get through a day.
Mm.
And so I always wished, she has that very brief conversation with Skylar, and I hope to God that their relationship it's never going to be the same, but somewhat mended itself. But then when we see her at the end of Better Call Saul, I feel like, she's made it. She's made it. I've had more than a few fans ask me, and the fans for Breaking Bad and Saul are the best. Um, do you think she kills herself? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, because she knows Hank wouldn't want her to.
Mm.
And I think like her compass now is living a life that makes him proud, that would
Mm.
make him proud. I think, they had such a beautiful relationship, and it wasn't perfect, but a deep love for each other. It was, and I just adore Dean Norris. I really do. So it was easy to be in love with him on screen. Like
Mm.
I adore him.
Mm. Did coming back to a player that a character that you spent years playing, did that give you a greater appreciation or a different appreciation for Marie as a
Oh my
character?
God, I never wanted to say goodbye to her. Oh
Yeah.
God. So I was like, I was happy to revisit.
Hmm.
Happy to revisit.
Yeah.
No, I love her. I'll always love her. I missed her. So to be able to play her again I mean, God, that felt great. That felt great.
Well, Betsy, thanks so much for talking to us today. People,
I
yeah, go.
I was just gonna say I love, love, love talking television. And
Yeah.
this is like these shows, like they're so good. Better Call Saul is just like, I'm sad it's over, but I'm so thankful that it happened. Like what a fun ride for all of us to get to take after Breaking Bad.
I think as you sort of said earlier, like they both ended so well, and there's so many consistency between both series, but at the same time, they're shows that have their differences, and there's beauty in that too.
Yeah.
Whereas, like we do see even Better Call Saul, even more so about the sort of what's going on in the characters' heads and the way, like the Bob surprises in that confession scene at the
Oh
end, and it
my
was
God.
yeah, like so it was so like
Wasn't he fucking amazing in that?
yep,
I mean,
he was.
just like, that whole cast, just like, so
Yeah.
it was really fun for me to go back and be a part of it.
Yeah.
But also some really great shows, it's like, it's not the ending you want, or the
Mm.
ending I think a show like that deserves. And I feel like
Yeah.
these guys just, Vincent Peter and all they just knocked it out of the park with Breaking Bad, and then again with Saul.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
really
Bo-
fun.
Bob Odenkirk's never won an Emmy. This could be the year for people to vote for him at the
Oh
Emmy
my
Awards.
God.
His last
I,
shot for this
uh,
character. You never won an Emmy for Breaking Bad, Betsy. It is a chance for voters to award you in the guest actress category this year. All the best of luck for the Emmys. Thanks for talking with us
Oh my
today.
God. Thank you so much.
No worries. People going to this, watching this interview can go to goldderby.com to follow our awards coverage. And Betsy, just thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.